प्रसिद्धनाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरुं श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितंश्च। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिय। पांचाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। व्याप्तिर्यस्य निजे निजेन मनसा पक्षे सपक्षे स्थिति व्यावृत्तिश्च विपक्षतोत्त विषये शक्तिर्न वै बाधते। नैवास्ति प्रतिपक्षयुक्तिरतुलं शुद्धं प्रमाणं समे भूयात् तत्त्वनिर्णयाय भगवान् आनन्दतीर्थो मुनि। श्रीमदानन्दतीर्थार्य सन्मनस्सरसि भुवि अनुव्याख्याननलिने चञ्चरी कतिमे मनः। सनातनं रूपं इहोपदर्शयन् आनंद सिंधु परितः प्रवर्धयन् अन्तस्तमस्तोम हरस्सराजतां चैतन्य रूपो विदुरद्भुतोदयः। हरे कृष्ण। So, welcome you all to the next discussion on Vedānta Syamantaka. Actually, I have made a small paper, a small write-up on what was discussed yesterday. I'd done it a couple of days ago. Total is reconciling Madhvacharya's threefold soul typology with Gaudiya Vaishnava Vedanta. So there is this difference between the schools about this. Some say that there is only one type of soul, the pure soul. Soul is Satchidananda. And there are others who say that soul itself has different categories. One is Mukti Yogya, one is Nitya Samsari, and one is Tamo Yogya. So in traditional Dvaita commentaries, these categories are often presented as eternal distinctions, with Lord granting liberation to only those who are fit for it. Yesterday we discussed that point. So, however, I would like to bring to notice about what is written in Anuvyakhana by Madhvacharya. So Madhvacharya writes that just as love for Lord increases eternally, so too can hatred towards him increase eternally. Means that the soul is bound into material nature because of ignorance, and because of the binding of the ignorance, this anadi karma, beginningless karma, has created a particular type of nature of a living entity because of the ignorance. It is not the soul itself that is like that, but the ignorance has created a particular type of situation, and because of that, this soul is apparently conditioned and not free to decide. Just like when you are in an animal body, you are conditioned in a particular way to act according to the body only. Similarly, the beginningless ignorance has conditioned certain entities to behave demoniacally, to certain to be indifferent, and certain to move towards liberation. So those who are conditioned in that way, so even if they fall down into demoniac species of life, they behave more demoniacally. They will increase their hatred towards the Lord, and that way their fall down, their trajectory goes on forever. That they will just continue to behave in a bad way. However, uh, what Madhvacharya attributes, he says that Lord is not to be blamed for that, because the Lord has provided opportunity of Shastras, of sadhus for purification. Now, Jiva Goswami writes in in his Sandarbhas that all souls are of spiritual nature, emanating from Lord's marginal potency, Tatastha Shakti. Differences in behavior and destiny arise from anadi karma, the karmas that are conditioned, so that they agree with. So every soul has enough opportunity, has the potential to move towards God through sadhana bhakti, or reject him. So either they take up to sadhana bhakti and purify themselves, or they reject. So that opportunity is there in all of them. So naturally, it is certain souls who are having enough of knowledge to progress towards this, and they take up to sadhana bhakti seriously. Whereas even today, we see there are people who are born in tribals, the tribes of Africa or in South America or somewhere, where there is hardly opportunity to think of God or connect with God. So even in the present situation, we see people who are born in places where the connection with God is not there. So this is because of their past karmas that they have taken such birth where such opportunities are not there. Whereas Krishna says in sixth chapter of Bhagavad Gita that those who perform yoga भ्रष्टोपजायते अथवा योगिनामेव कुले भवति धीमताम् एतद्धि दुर्लभतरम लोके जन्म यदीदृशम्. So those who perform good activities, they are definitely given an opportunity to be born in the houses of great families from where they can continue their devotion. So there are some people who are born in families where opportunity is there to continue their devotion. There are others who are completely in such a birth that there is no exposure to God. Whereas there are some others who, although born in remote families where opportunity is not there, but because of exposure through Vaishnava saints, they get an opportunity again. Like we see in the Krishna consciousness movement, Srila Prabhupada took the Krishna consciousness all over the world. And even in places where they had not heard the name of Krishna, they got exposure and they got opportunity to purify. So there are souls like that also who take advantage of this mercy given by God and purify themselves. So it is the soul's effort to either hate the Lord or take steps to move towards the Lord. This doesn't mean that the soul is ontologically evil. The soul itself is not evil. It is in a particular mode because of the covering, because the soul itself has a covering of avidya, and that makes it behave like that. So that is the thing, and for that we saw Bhagavad Gita. We saw the reference from Shastra. Tanaham dishan krura samsareshu naradama kshipami ajasram ashban asureshwapi yonishu. Those who are envious and cruel, I repeatedly cast them into demonic births. This is Lord himself who is saying in Bhagavad Gita that yes, he casts them, but not because he is cruel or he wants to bad or he wants to trouble them infinitely. It is their choice that they want to be in such births, because even after such situations, their hatred doesn't reduce towards the Supreme Lord. Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam 10th canto also says that even those who approach the Lord with envy are purified. So there is an opportunity that hatred can also be purified, like the situation of Kamsa, that his hatred towards the Lord was purified. So such opportunities are also there. So Lord is still merciful. He, even for the haters, he still tries to give a opportunity to purify by making them meditate on him. But still, it is the soul's freedom that it has to utilize to purify. By saying freedom, it is not beyond the purview of the Lord. It is some limited decision making that he has given, that you either choose God or not choose God. And this is achintya. It's inconceivable how the soul is given some limited decision making. Still, Lord is the supreme personal Lord. It is achintya. It's inconceivable. But still, at least the fact that Lord is not responsible for the good or bad the decisions that the jiva takes makes it very clear that there is some decision making ability within the jiva. So that is the conclusion we can draw from yesterday's discussion, that Radha Damodar Goswami gives a very beautiful example to reconcile that rain falls uniformly on all the surfaces, whereas it is up to the nature of the seed that will help decide what trees will grow. Either the bitter seeds will turn into bitter trees, like neem, or the sweet mango seed will make a mango tree from which mango fruits come. So it is up to the seed the way it grows. So similarly, mercy of the Lord is there. It is uniform for everyone. It is up to the living entity how he takes it up. So that is what we saw from yesterday's discussion.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhu.
Prabhuji, that Jiva Goswami's that shloka that we are this conditioned soul from eternity, like beginningless. I think, Prabhu, this argument is used for Jiva's fall down also, right? That I think when Satya Narayan Das, he wrote a book also on not even a leaf falls in Vaikuntha, that they kind of assert this point that and based on this Jiva Goswami's point only, that we are anadi badya. So
Mhm.
does this mean, Prabhuji, like and I have heard even in ISKCON, like Gaur Govind Swami Maharaj also used to talk about this point only, that we are conditioned since eternity. And I think this is a very debatable topic. I think uh, there are sides. There are some devotees who believe this and some devotees who believe that, and there are equal caliber devotees who say this. So, Prabhuji, how to interpret this anadi, beginningless?
Yes, Prabhu. So uh, regarding the Jiva fall down issue, I will comment in detail about my understanding. I don't say that I have cracked this problem, because when the Supreme Lord decides, he will crack this problem. When whoever he shows mercy on, they will eventually crack this. So it's not within our ability. Our understanding is also limited. But I would like to present my realization in the last of this lecture series, because sometimes these may lead to controversies. But what you said about anaditva, that I will comment. Yesterday I did, I will repeat that again. That some argue that anadi means from the beginning. That paksha you already know. Whereas the other paksha argues that anadi means a huge time. It's a long, long time ago, which we cannot interpret. We cannot understand. So that is why it is assumed that it's too much so anadi. Just like Amara, Devatas are called Amara. Devatas are not Amara, they also have death, but because their life is so huge compared to us, so they are called Amara. So similarly, this Anaditva means something which is very long ago. That is one of the arguments. But Bhagavad Gita, we have seen introduction that Ishvara, Jiva, Prakriti, Kala, and Karma. So all five are Anadi, whereas only Karma is having an Anta and others don't have Anta. Now, if we assume that Karma Anaditva means it is long, long ago, sometime which is difficult for our calculation, can we put the same logic for Jiva's Anaditva? That long, long ago Jiva was created, so something we cannot calculate. So that is why let's assume it to be Anadi. Can we say that? Yes, there are people who say that, because ultimately Ishvara is the Karana, Sarva Karana Karanam. So Lord is the cause. So sometime Lord created Jivas. When he created Jivas, it's too long before we cannot calculate. So that is why it is Anadi. So the same logic they use for Jivas also. Now that is, let's say we accept that. What about Ishvara's Anadit? Can we use the same logic to say that Ishvara's birth was so long ago that we could not calculate, maybe in lakhs of times more than Jiva's Aditya, that we will put it as Anadi? Can we use the same logic to apply for Ishvara's Anaditya? No, right? At least we are sure that Ishvara was never born. So the Anadi definition that we are giving doesn't apply for Ishvara. So then how can the same definition apply for Jiva? How can the same definition apply for karma? These are the questions that are raised. So uh, what it exactly means that Anadi karma, how, I mean, if we are to explain, if we are to explain that Jivas have fallen down from Vaikuntha, how will we explain? If we have to explain that they have not fallen from Vaikuntha, how will explain? Those things I will cover it in detail at the end. But at least as an hint, I can give you that Anaditva doesn't seem to mean long time ago. It seems to mean infinite beginning, infinite non-beginning. That is what I could understand at least on this. Is that okay, Apurva?
Yes, Prabhuji. And like Prabhuji, in previous lectures also you suggested that, we Jiva Atmas are created simultaneously with the Lord. It is, and if we call Lord is Anadi, like he has no beginning, then how can we also have a beginning? So I am also thinking in that perspective that we are created in the same time. But bro, some people argue regarding that Lord is like that this mercy wala point you were telling na that when the rainfall happens, Neema grows with Neem and like that. Some people argue that Lord is impartial. He gives equal opportunities to everyone. So why would he be partial that he would make some people, some souls as conditioned and some souls he will like put them in Vakunta. So that argument
This
also I
argument
listened to
comes,
that.
this argument comes when we accept that Lord makes the souls. If the Lord hasn't made the souls at all, they are there since infinite, they just exist. Lord exists, souls exist, Vedas exist, the sky exists. Everything just exists. It's not that he has created some as demoniac. If he has created, then again time comes into picture. So here there is beyond time. Correct. So it is Anadi means he has never created and they are never come into existence. So they always were like this. They always were covered with ignorance, not the soul. Soul is Satchidananda, but they were always covered in ignorance and they were of that particular nature. That is the understanding. Else, if we don't accept this, then we have to explain these shlokas from Bhagavad Gita where he says that Kshipami ajasram asureshu api forever I will throw them into demoniac species and then they will Janmani Janmani, every birth after birth they will just keep suffering. So why he says? At the same time you have to protect Krishna's mercifulness, at the same time you have to explain this shloka. So this is one way that from the beginning they are like that only. So they are conditioned in a way to think demoniacally. Even today, if they change their stand, if Duryodhana had agreed to Krishna's proposal that, okay, we will not fight, he would have purified him. He would not even consider what had happened in the past. But because of Duryodhana's nature, he would not agree for the proposal of Krishna. So to show that neutrality only, to show that mercy only, he went there and said, let's give them only 5 villages, they will be satisfied. But he was so demoniac, he would not agree to that.
Okay, then Prabhuji, then why do we say go back to Godhead? If Godhead, Prabhupada used to say go back to Godhead means we were somewhere in the Godhead and then we came.
No, no, no.
Yeah.
I tell you, no, you don't tempt me to open it up now. I will explain that back to God thing. Yes, definitely we will discuss on that. Oh, hmm.
Okay.
Roshan Prabhu.
Prabhuji, Prabhupada uses the word time immemorial,
Hmm.
okay, and not eternity. So I saw a video of of a person from Gaudiya Vaishnava ISKCON only that he explains time immemorial and eternity does not imply same thing. So I can send the video. It is about 10 minutes long. It's in Hindi. I don't know if you will understand or not, but I think I agree more with him. I have watched the video. And also regarding this Duryodhana, I saw a podcast of a Madhva scholar. I don't remember his name. I have the video with me.
Hmm.
So he says that Duryodhana's swabhav, when we do bhakti, our actual swabhav comes out. So he said that Madhvacharya explains that Duryodhana's swabhav towards God is eternally like this. It is his swabhav only. So it is his actual nature to be envious towards God. So is it correct then?
No, some Madhvas, what they interpret today is that when Madhvacharya says Swabhava, they interpret that as the nature of the soul itself. Okay, but soul is actually Satchidananda. Okay, what is to be understood is that the karma has created ajnana, ignorance. Today, when I do something wrong, correct, I'm doing it out of ignorance. And that brings some karma to me, which I'm going to suffer in my next life or in this life only. Correct. So that avidya has made my nature in a particular way. So because it is anadi, that avidya has created a swabhava of myself as a personality. Okay. It is the avidya which is covering. Avidya cannot influence the soul. Avidya covers the soul and makes us act out of ignorance through our mind and intelligence and our senses in a particular way. Correct. So we have to choose, either we are acting with these senses to purify ourselves, or we are acting with our senses to degrade ourselves. So the demonic species, because of ignorance, act with their senses in a way to degrade themselves. And the divine people act in a way to progress themselves to purification. So Duryodhana, because of his inherent nature, he was so sinful that he acted in a way that he rejected Lord's proposal and he degraded himself. That is the idea. Correct. And Lord doesn't interfere with that. He doesn't, okay, if Duryodhana wants degradation, Lord doesn't stop him from that. He gives him an opportunity to degrade. He gives him opportunity where he hates the Lord, where he forgets the Lord. That's how he has given opportunity to all of us, right? That we are in the material world where we forget the Lord. If soul is Satchidananda, with that logic, we all should be in Vaikuntha. But we are rebellious, so he does give an opportunity for rebellious souls. Okay, so someone may argue, what is this new idea you are propounding, that the individual soul is different from God? About the empirical state of existence, we find the words Tvam va aham asmi. Just a minute. Sorry, I skipped certain things. There is something before this also. Yes. Okay, this second point which we discussed yesterday, I will also recap that one argument that is put is Jivair Swarupavi Krishna and Nityadas. All living entities are eternal servants of Krishna. So then that refutes this theory of demoniac people, right? So how Radha Damodar Goswami explains here is that, yes, all living entities are servants, but some realize that they are servants, some don't realize that they are servants. Just like government servants. There are some government servants who are faithful to the government, there are others who are corrupt. Now, their being corrupt doesn't mean they become master of the government. They are still servants of the government only, and they have to live according to them. So similarly, the demoniac, even if they are demoniac, they cannot master the Lord. They still have to be servant only. So, Jivera, Swarupoi, Krishna, and Nityadas, they are eternal servants of Krishna. If they accept, they will become good servants. Otherwise, they will become bad servants. So, without churning, butter doesn't appear from yogurt. So, similarly, some effort has to be put from Jiva's side of studying Shastras, of serving the spiritual master, of hearing, and all these things, all the Navaveda Bhakti effort has to be put from the Jiva side. Then only that servitorship will blossom, that butter will blossom. That is the idea here. So here comes the point of the effort. The individual soul attains the ultimate goal of life by serving a spiritual master and performing devotional service to Lord Hari, which is attained by Guru's mercy, as corroborated by the Shruti. Yasya deve para bhaktir yatha deve tatha guru तस्य इते कथिता ह्यार्थे प्रकाश ह्यार्थ प्रकाशन्ते महात्मनः श्वेताश्वर उपनिषद 6.23. The meaning of what is spoken in the scriptures becomes revealed to a great soul who has utmost devotion unto the Lord as well as the spiritual master. Here, yatha deve tatha guru means what devotion is there towards Lord, same devotion should be there towards spiritual master. That is the understanding here. It is further told in Chandogya Upanishad. Acharyavan Purusho Veda Tasya Tavat Eva Chiram Yavan Na Vimukshe Atha Sampatse. Chandogya Upanishad 6.14.12. A person who has a preceptor attains knowledge. There is delay only as long as Lord does not desire that one be liberated. But afterwards, one attains the supreme destination. Shraddha Bhakti Dhyana Yogat Aviti Kaivalya Upanishad 2. One understands the Supreme Lord through strong faith, devotion, and meditation. Tatastu tam pashyate nishkalam dhyayamanah. Mundakopanishad 3.1.8. Then upon meditating, one sees the undivided Supreme Lord. The Smriti also confirms. Earlier we saw Shruti Pramanas, now the Smriti also says this. Tasmat Gurum Prapadyeta Jignasu Shreya Uttamam Shabde Parecha Nishnatam Brahmanya Upashamashrayam. Tatra Bhagavatam Dharman Shikshed Guru Atma Devataha Amayayanu Yais Tushed Atma Maddo Harihi. Srimad Bhagavatam 11.3.21 to 22. Therefore, one who is inquisitive to know the highest good should surrender unto a spiritual master who is conversant with the Vedic scriptures and the Supreme Lord, and whose mind and senses are under control. One should accept the spiritual master as one's very soul and deity, and by serving him without deceit, one should learn from him the various forms of devotional service unto the Supreme Lord, by which Lord Hari, who gives himself to his devotee, becomes pleased. Okay, we have earlier seen this Yashastram Viddhim Utsrucha Vartate Kamakarataha Nasasiddhim Avapnoti Nasukam na Param Gatim. He who discards scriptural injunctions and acts according to his own whims attains neither perfection nor happiness nor a supreme destination. Now, one should also know what is Shastra Vidhi and what is not Shastra Vidhi. So, just like we have taken an admission in college. So, when we take an admission in college, at least we should know what to study and what not to study. What is good, what is needed for exam, what is not needed. So, the professors are needed for that. Without professors, it's not possible to know that. So these professors were students themselves. Once upon a time, they studied, they got graduated, they got a degree, and now they have been ordained to teach the subjects. So similarly, when we are enrolling to this spiritual university, we should have a professor, we should have a guide, we should have a spiritual master who guides on this path. So purport of 2.7 Bhagavad Gita, the famous shloka. Shishyasteham Shadimam Tam Prapanam. So Prabhupada writes, such persons are destined to be condemned by Supreme Lord. No, sorry. By nature's own way, the complete system of material activities is a source of perplexity for everyone. In every step, there is perplexity, and therefore it behooves one to approach a bona fide spiritual master who can give one proper guidance for executing the purpose of life. All Vedic literatures advise us to approach a bona fide spiritual master to get free from the perplexities of life, which happen without our desires. They are like a forest fire that somehow blazes without being set by anyone. Similarly, the world situation is such that the perplexities of life automatically appear without our wanting such confusion. No one wants fire, and yet it takes place, and we become perplexed. The Vedic wisdom therefore advises that in order to solve the perplexities of life and to understand the science of the solution, one must approach a spiritual master who is in the disciplic succession. A person with a bona fide spiritual master is supposed to know everything. One should not therefore remain in material perplexities, but should approach a spiritual master. This is the purport of this verse. Who is the man in material perplexities? It is he who does not understand the problems of life. In the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad 3.8.10, the perplexed man is described as follows. Yova etat aksharam gargi avidit swasmal lokad praiti sa kripanaha. He is a miserly man who does not solve the problems of life as a human and who thus quits the world like cats and dogs without understanding the science of self-realization. The human form of life is a most valuable asset for the living entity who can utilize it for solving the problems of life. Therefore, one who does not utilize the opportunity properly is a miser. On the other hand, there is the Brahmana who is intelligent enough to utilize the body to solve the problems of life. Yetat aksharam gargi vidit small lokat pratiti sa brahmana. So, what is Prabhupada saying in this purport is that human form of life is the only opportunity where these things can be understood. We saw that there are lower species that are conditioned to behave in a way that the body demands. For example, if we take the body of a dog or a hog or a tree, plant, the body pushes to act in a particular way, and Jiva doesn't have the independence to overcome the conditionings of this body. Human life offers an opportunity where we can try to overcome the conditionings of this body. So, human life is like a junction. Either we can choose to go up or we can choose to go down. Once you are an animal species, then only you have to die to go to the next level. You lead your life, how much ever the tiger eats meat, it is going to be promoted to next species because it doesn't have the discrimination that I am eating meat, which is something wrong, and I will be getting the sinful reactions of it. It doesn't have that discrimination. It is conditioned by the body, it acts like that. Whereas in human life, that discrimination is there, that meat should not be eaten, illicit sexual activity should not be done. So these things, it has the intelligence to discriminate. So not utilizing this human intelligence, human form of life will lead to downfall. So now, one who uses this human form of life and perfects himself, he is called a Brahmana. Whereas one who doesn't use this is called a Kripana. That is the understanding here. Now, this journey is not going to be so smooth because it is not that we just decide that we will travel through this and now I'm going to use my human life. I want to do good things, but there will be tests at every step. There will be troubles, there will be difficulties. You may have diseases, you may have old age, you may have other problems, you may have some neighbors troubling you, you may have some fight with someone. So there will be so many problems which we have to undergo in the human life. And at every step, one can get perplexed. Oh, how to solve this problem? What to do at this situation? So it requires a knowledgeable person, a shastrically knowledgeable person, a professor who can guide us at this step as to what to do and what not to do. So that is the importance of a spiritual master. Without a spiritual master, a person cannot know what is right and what is wrong. So spiritual master's role is extremely mandatory to understand the Shastras. We have discussed about Veda Paurushyatva. We have discussed about how Vedas are Parama Pramana. They are the supreme Pramana. That is, Vedas are not manufactured by anyone. So that is why they don't have the doshas. They don't have the faults of the Purusha. So whatever they say is the ultimate Pramana. But the problem is that to understand the meaning of the Vedas itself is too difficult. And if we try to do on our own, we will be misled. We will be lost. So the spiritual master's role is extremely important, and such spiritual master is connected with the Supreme Lord, and because he is bringing the mercy of the Supreme Lord, samsara dava nalalida loka tranaya karunya ganaganatvam praptasya kalyana gunarnavasya vande guru Shri Charanarvindam. Very nicely Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur sings about it, that our life is like samsara davanala, fire. So just like there is a forest fire, whatever we do, we cannot extinguish the forest fire. Only when rain comes, that is when such a huge scale shower is going to extinguish the forest fire. Similarly, the troubles of our life, we are trying to do small patchwork to solve them. We may try to, some people try to use their friends' help to solve the problem. Some people try to use their relatives' help to solve the problem. Some people try to spend money to do something else to solve the problem. Some people get so depressed that they take intoxications to solve the problem. But none of this is going to bring a complete end to the problem. So the real solution for this is that, just a minute, please be on. So the only solution for this is to take shelter of a bona fide spiritual master. Why? Acharyavan Purusho Vedaha. He is a person who knows the Shastras. Shabde Parecha Nishnatam. He is expert in the knowledge of the Shastras. And how he has become expert in the knowledge of the Shastras? He has received it from his own Guru. So he has received it from another perfect Guru. He doesn't claim that I have manufactured this on my own. So if he claims that he has manufactured, then he will also have the Purusha doshas, the 4 defects. If he create something on his own, then that will also have the 4 defects: Brahma, Pramada, Vipralipsa, and Karnapada. So that will also not be perfect. Whereas he is perfect because he is transmitting the message of the perfect, the message of Vedas as it is. That makes his Vani perfect. So that's a very important point we should understand. Earlier we discussed about Veda Apaurishyatva, right? That the Shastras are perfect. Now, we should understand it. We should understand the position of spiritual master in this context. The spiritual master repeats the message of the Shastras, and that makes it perfect, the message. Okay. So here in Srimad Bhagavatam, next shloka of Srimad Bhagavad Gita, it is further mentioned. It was impossible for him, Arjuna, to solve such perplexities without the help of spiritual master like Lord Krishna. Academic knowledge, scholarship, high position, etc. are all useless in solving the problems of life. Help can be given only by a spiritual master like Krishna. Therefore, the conclusion is that the spiritual master who is 100% Krishna consciousness, Krishna conscious, is the bona fide spiritual master. He can solve the problems of life. Now, it can also be thought that no, there are people who are highly educated, academically knowledgeable, and they are very scholarly. They are in a very high position. They are having power, all these things. So using all these things, they can solve the problems. It has been observed that people who are extremely rich, still they have suffered the problems of old age, diseases, death. They could not solve these problems. Similarly, there are people who are very knowledgeable, very intellectual, very scholarly, but with all these things, they could not solve these basic problems of life. Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadi, Dukkha, Dosha, Nadarsham. So, we cannot solve this by our own effort. How much ever we have, whatever position we take, whatever place we are in. So many a times people are proud that their money will help them. Many a times people are proud that their knowledge will help them, or their position in society will help them. Their followers will help them. So many things. Gajendra, he was extremely proud. He was very, very strong. And being so strong, he went into the water with full pride. But then the crocodile caught, nothing could save him. All their relatives tried to pull, the wives tried to pull, the children tried to pull, everyone tried to pull him out, but nothing saved. He tried to use his force, he tried to use his own strength to solve, but nothing worked. Eventually, when the help came from top, that is when only his problem got solved. So, similarly, all our strengths and all will not work beyond a limit. So, it is the help needed from top, external help that is needed to solve our problems, and that external help can be coming through the spiritual master. And what is the qualification of the spiritual master? He is 100% Krishna conscious. So such a 100% Krishna conscious spiritual master alone can help solve the problems. Further, in Srimad Bhagavatam 11.3.21 purport, it is written, according to Sridhar Swami, Srila Sridhar Swami, the word Shabde refers to Vedic literature and Pare refers to Supreme Personality of Godhead. The bona fide spiritual master must be Nishnatam, deeply experienced in authorized Vedic literatures and practical understanding of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Without scriptural knowledge and practical realization of the Personality of Godhead, a so-called Guru will be unable to dissipate the doubts of his disciples and therefore unable to execute the function of bringing the sincere student back home, back to Godhead. The symptoms of a realized understanding of the Vedas and Krishna conscious and Krishna is Upashamashrayam. In other words, the bona fide spiritual master is one who has retired from the glittering illusions of material society, friendship, and love. So very beautifully explained here that bona fide spiritual master is himself practicing Krishna consciousness very seriously. He is not getting attracted by the illusory glitterings of the material world, be it woman, be it society, be it prestige, be it position, be it money. These things don't attract him. So he is himself a practicing devotee, and Shabde, he is expert in Vedic conclusions. He has studied the Shastras and he has come to the conclusion of the Shastras, and he is preaching that, and not only he is preaching that, he is practicing that also himself. So that makes the spiritual master bona fide. A bona fide spiritual master is one who is expert in all the subject matters, not by his personal imagination or by speculation, but by mature understanding of the authorized Vedic literatures, which are literally manifestations of the causeless mercy of the Lord. Yes. So the mercy of the Lord comes in the form of Shastras. So, and the spiritual master is expert in giving the nirnaya, giving the conclusions of the Shastras. So, if we really want the mercy of the Lord, we have to deeply study these Shastras. So, that is why you see, na, Rupa Raghunatha Pade Hoibe Akuti, Abe Hame Bhuj Bose Jugala Priti. So he sings that when will I get, Narottam Das Thakur sings, when will I get that deep attraction towards the books written by Rupa and Raghunath? The six Goswamis, they have written such wonderful literatures. When will I get an attachment to study them? Only then I will be able to understand who Radha and Krishna are, he says. So, if we want to understand the Lord, if we want to understand intimate pastimes of the Lord, then it is not going to happen unless we have deep attachment to the study of the teachings of the spiritual master and the scriptures that they have given. A deep love for study of the shastras is necessary. Only then we will be able to understand these subjects. So without bona fide spiritual master, it is not possible to understand the Supreme Lord, not by our speculation, not by our intellect. According to Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakura, if a spiritual master cannot destroy his disciples' doubts by superior knowledge, the disciple will gradually become despondent in spiritual life. Because a bogus guru cannot actually give Krishna to his disciple according to the principle of Rasavarjam Rasopyase, the disciple will again become attracted to material happiness, not having achieved the bliss of Krishna's association. Such a weak disciple of a weak spiritual master will gradually become hopeless and discouraged in his attempt at self-realization, and will again become fascinated by the temptations of illusion such as woman, money, and so-called intellectually based speculation and imagination. So here on one side, the need of a bona fide spiritual master is there. At the another side, the disciple's responsibility is also given, that a disciple should carefully select a spiritual master who can actually dissipate these doubts by superior knowledge. What happens if the spiritual master himself is not strong enough to dissipate this knowledge? Then you see, naturally, jivas are conditioned towards sense enjoyment. Jivas are conditioned towards the attractions of the material world. So it is the spiritual master who is holding the disciple strongly on the path of bhakti. That's why he's called Guru. Guru means heavy. So he is heavy means that he is holding the disciple very strongly, heavily. If the guru's weight is not so much, then the disciple will gradually gravitate towards sense enjoyment. So that is the indication that our actual progress is happening or no. That are we getting distaste towards sense enjoyment? Are we getting taste towards service to Krishna? So that is why it is necessary to select a bona fide spiritual master in whose association our taste towards Krishna increases. In absence of such a spiritual master, we will naturally gravitate towards the glitterings of this material world. So who is that spiritual master? That is mentioned in the Upadeshamrita. Vacho vegam, manasa krodha vegam, jivva vegam, udara upastha vegam, etan vegan yo vishayeta dhiraha, sarvam api mam prithvim shashishya. A sober person who can tolerate the urge to speak, the mind's demands, the actions of anger, and the urges of the tongue, belly, and genitals is qualified to make disciples all over the world. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakura has stated, Upashamanashrayam Krodha Lobha Di Avashi Bhutam. A bona fide spiritual master cannot be under the control of ordinary anger, greed, and lust. So, again and again, these qualifications of spiritual master are being highlighted, that he should be sense controlled. He should have controlled the urge to speak, the mind's demands, the actions of anger, tongue, belly, and genitals. So these are the weaknesses of people, that however strong he may be, physically he may be strong, politically he may be strong, or intellectually he may be strong, whatever be the level of their strength, Test, the test is if they can control these things. They can control what to speak, what not to speak. If they can control the mind, if they can control the anger, the tongue has to be controlled, belly and genitals. So these are the things the person, if he can control, that is his real test, not just physical strength or intellect and all those things. So that is what makes the spiritual master very special. What makes him special is that he has controlled these urges, and that way he is not chained, he is free. We have earlier discussed that knowledge gives freedom, and people who are the souls that are in ignorance, they don't have choice to make their rational decisions. Less like animals. Animals cannot take a rational decision as to what is right and what is wrong for them. Human beings, if they are also leading a life like animals, just for eating, sleeping, ahara, nidra, bhayamaitunam cha, samanyam pashubir naranam, dharmo hi tesham adhiko vishesham, dharmena hina pashubir sman. If humans also lead a life like animals, then there is not much difference. They also would not have a, they would also not get an opportunity to perfect their life. The real human being, the really strong human being is not one who is a big Olympic champion or who is a big boxer or who is a very rich businessman or who is a very intellectual scholar. The real human being is one who has controlled the urge of tongue, belly, genitals, mind, anger, and urge to speak. These are something really difficult, and person who has controlled this, he gets spiritual strength, he gets the freedom to overcome the problems of birth, old age, disease, and death. Whereas all other strengths of ours don't give us freedom from these things. So that makes the position of a spiritual master very serious. And this decision of ours to accept a bona fide spiritual master, it has to be done with great care and caution, because the person who is really so powerful, he can only guide the spiritual master on the right spiritual path. So that is what we should understand here. Srila Jiva Goswami comments that the spiritual, I will just read this and give little comments, because a lot of these things we would have discussed earlier also. There is not so much philosophical delving into it. Most of these things we know about. Srila Jiva Goswami comments that the spiritual master is to be considered the Atma, or the very life of the disciple, since real life begins when one is initiated by a spiritual master. Although one may experience many seemingly wonderful or important events in a dream, one's real life begins when he wakes up. Similarly, since the spiritual master gives birth to a disciple by awakening him in spiritual life, a bona fide spiritual master understands that, bona fide disciple understands that his spiritual master is the very basis of this life. Now, very important point that we may be seeing big things in dream. We are traveling and we have gone to America, we have gone to Australia, or we have gone to moon or something like that. We may see many things in dream, but when we wake up, that is when our actual life begins. We start taking bath, we may eat food, we may start doing something practical. Okay, whatever we see in dream, actually the end result of that is we just slept, nothing else. Whereas once we wake up, our actual things are happening. So similarly, we have been in ignorance since time immemorial. Since so many lifetimes, we have been in ignorance without having any idea about what spiritual life is. Only when a disciple accepts a spiritual master, surrenders to him, take initiation from him, that is when he wakes up and starts working. Till that time, it was just slumber, it was just sleep, nothing is happening. So that is when he has woken up. So the person who has woken him up and started engaging him in activity. See, suppose you sleep for 8 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours, 14 hours, 20 hours, you sleep. But your stomach keeps getting hungry. It keeps asking for food. Only when you wake up, you cook food, then you will be able to eat it. Then you will be able to overcome the hunger of your stomach. So similarly, the perplexities and the problems of life, the difficulties and all, just by slumber in ignorance, they are not going to be solved. Only when a person takes initiation, accepts a spiritual master, and works according to his direction, only then his problems will actually get solved. So the spiritual masters is so important, just like a soul is important for the body to keep active. Similarly, for our spiritual life, position of a spiritual master is very important. That is what Jiva Goswami tells here. Although, now another point may come, that today nowadays it's quite famous that Shastras are there. Acharyas have explained. Srila Prabhupada has explained through his books. So we can study this and understand, do we really require a personal spiritual master? So such thoughts also do come in mind. So when I study the Shastra, I will get all the knowledge. Why do I require a guru? So here, the point Prabhupada says in Srimad Bhagavatam 2.9.36 purport. Although everyone is free to consult the revealed scriptures in this connection, one still requires the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master. And that is the direction in the verse. The bona fide spiritual master is the most confidential representative of the Lord. And one must receive direction from spiritual master in the same spirit that Brahmaji received it from the personality of Godhead Lord Krishna. The bona fide spiritual master is that bona fide chain of in that bona fide chain of disciplic succession never claims to be the Lord himself. Although such a spiritual master is greater than the Lord in the sense that he can deliver the Lord to by his personally realized experience. The Lord is not to be found simply by education of or by a good fertile brain, but surely he can be found by the sincere student through transparent medium of the bona fide spiritual master. So just by logic we cannot understand. Naisha Tarkena Matirapaniya. Kathopanishad already dismissed that, saying that by logic you cannot attain the Supreme Lord. So by education, we cannot attain the Supreme Lord. Supreme Lord can be attained only when the mercy of the spiritual master is there. So even if we try to study the Shastras, we cannot get this. Now there are two things. One is Shravan and one is Guru Prasada, the mercy of the spiritual master. So just by studying the books ourselves, we cannot get the benefit of Shravana. Just like you take a vrata, you do a sankalpa. When you do a sankalpa, you have to do the yajna, you have to do the vidhi, and finally you have to do the samarpana. You have to follow the whole procedure according to Shastras. Then you will get the benefit out of it. So similarly, there are putra kameshti yajna, there are other yajnas. So you have to do the vidhi properly, and then you will get the benefit of it. Similarly, Shravana. Shravana vidhi is necessary for perfection. Shravana is the first step of Navavidha Bhakti. Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu, Smaranam Padasevanam, Archanam Madhanam Dasyam, Sakhyam Atma Nivedanam. So in this Navavidha Bhakti, the first step is Shravana. So if the Shravana Vidhi itself doesn't happen, how can we progress ourselves to perfection? So without the presence of a bona fide spiritual master, Shravana will not happen. And if Shravana doesn't happen, then purification will not happen. So very nicely in Brahma Sutras, there is a section called Guru Prasad Adhikarana, where it is very nicely mentioned that only through the bona fide spiritual master we can get perfection. And in the Bhashya, Madhvacharya gives the example of Vishwakarma. So this Jabala Vishwakarma, he went to Gautam Rishi and he requested, please make me your disciple. So then he asked, what is your Gotra? Please let me know. So then he went to his mother and asked. Mother said that I don't know your Gotra because I had relationship with many people in young age. So who your father is, I don't know. Now this boy, he repeated the same before his guru. He could have told something. He could have told some lies or something like that. And at that time, we don't know whether so many technologies and tests were there and all these things. So he could have told lies. But then he sincerely told the truth that this is my position of my mother. Now you decide. Now Gautama Rishi said, no, no, you have spoken the truth. So that is why I accept you. Once he accepted him as a disciple, then first thing he did is he gave him Go Seva. He gave him the service of serving cows. So then this boy also took a sankalpa. I will serve the cows and I will come back to my guru when their numbers are doubled. So when the cows increase, that is when I will come back to my guru. Till then I will not bother him. So he took the cows for grazing in the deep forest and he would serve them all the time. In the process, by the dint of his service, sincere service to his spiritual master, so he got knowledge from four different sources who are factually speaking much superior to his spiritual master Gautam Rishi. Once he lit fire, and when he lit fire for in the evening, Agni himself appeared and he said, I will give you 1/4 portion of the Brahmajnana. the spiritual knowledge, I will give one fourth of it. So Agnideva himself gave the one fourth portion of the spiritual knowledge. Then he said, oh, he took the knowledge, and next day morning, suddenly a bull came in front. That bull was actually Vayu. So Vayu came in the form of a bull, and he said, I will give spiritual knowledge. And he gave one fourth of the spiritual knowledge. Then that day passed. Next day, a swan came, Hamsa. In the form of Hamsa, Lord Brahma himself came, and he gave one fourth of the spiritual knowledge. So then finally it was a waterfall, fish in the water. So that fish in the water, I don't remember who that fish in the water was. I will find out. So the fish in the water gave one fourth of a Brahmadhyana. In this way, he got complete full Brahmadhyana from such exalted souls as Agni, Vayu, Brahma. Such exalted souls gave him Brahmadhyana. Now, what else is required? Why to again go? But what did he do once he got that Brahmadhyana? He went back to his spiritual master Gautam Rishi, and he repeated the whole thing what he had heard from these souls to Gautam Rishi. Gautam Rishi heard the whole thing and he repeated back to Jabala. Why this whole complicated procedure of telling him and hearing back from him? Why all this had to be followed? Because if he had to get complete benefit of that knowledge, he had to receive it from his bona fide spiritual master only, who had accepted him from in initiation. So that is why he narrated it to him and heard it back from him. That is when he was actually able to get the full result. So whatever knowledge we gain, ultimately perfection is achieved only after Shravana from the spiritual master. So hearing from the spiritual master is utmost mandatory. Second thing is the satisfaction of the spiritual master, the pleasure of the spiritual master, because he has to be happy with your services. That is when our Supreme Lord will consider us for perfection. So this cannot happen with a book. You just study a book, you cannot be ensure that the spiritual master is pleased with you. When there is physical relationship, when there is hearing, when there is service, that is when actually the spiritual master's pleasure can be ascertained. So this is an important point that we should understand, that spiritual master doesn't have any replacement. His place is mandatory. It is quite necessary that one must accept a spiritual master and take guidance from him. So any doubts till now? Mostly this section we would have heard a lot and there would not be any doubts ideally, but still any doubts till now before we proceed further?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Prabhuji, at the start, you told about Nitya Krishna Dasa concept, that some souls realize that they are Nitya Krishna Das and some souls don't realize. So, bro, what is a factor that influences that from the Anadi point? Like, if we look at from the starting point, like for later we can say it is karma, some offense like that. But is it the same case when the souls are born initially?
See, Brahmanda Brahmite Kono Bhagyavana Jeev Guru Krishna Prasade Bhakti Lata Beach. So it's Kono Bhagyavana Jeev. So it is some fortunate soul. So fortunate means that it's the Lord who chooses. So Lord chooses, and Lord, when he chooses, you cannot again blame Lord saying that he is choosing one and is partial to one and not partial to one. Lord is not partial. So that particular jiva has got that nature that he is going in that path and he is making that conscious decision. Others also can make that conscious decision. Now, others also can hear the shastras and perfect their life, but it's their adamant nature that they are not making and they are not working towards perfection, whereas this particular soul is working towards the perfection, and that is why he is the person who has realized that he is Nitya Krishna Das.
Okay, so Prabhu, meaning we all are born in Ajnana initially. Can we say that?
We are always in Ajnana, yes, life after life, correct.
Okay. And
Only
Prabhuji,
when
one more point you were telling that Guru, he cures us from the this thing, all the
Hmm,
abhadrata.
hmm.
Like, and we can say anger is also one of the abhadrata. And I was just thinking in that perspective, like Dhruva Maharaj, he got spiritual understanding directly from Nada Muni. He was able to even see the Lord also. But when he again got back into the kingdom, when his brother died,
Or
anger dominated him.
yes,
Anger was able to dominate him. So, if someone is already under a spiritual master, he has already attained some perfection from the Lord himself. He has even seen the Lord and he has got the blessing also to go back to Vaikuntha. Then, this kind of bewilders me that under a spiritual master, we are following him perfectly. Then, also, how can an emotion like anger dominate us?
Very, very nice point you brought up. So you see, in the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna surrenders to Krishna, and he accepts him as himself as a disciple of Krishna. Krishna also accepts him as a disciple. Then he explains about Atma Jnana, Sankhya Yoga. So Krishna gives all the instructions. He just finishes the complete instruction. Does that mean that Arjuna was out free from anger? When Arjuna asked why I should engage in war, Krishna says you are still not liberated. You have got the knowledge, but you are still not liberated. You are not perfected. So if you try to artificially become a sannyasi, you will become a mithyachari. So you perform things for yajna, he says. And then the other chapters go on extending. In the 18th chapter, he brings this point again. He says that all of us are particularly conditioned by the three modes. And because of our conditioning, we have to accepted certain positions in society as Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. We have accepted certain places because of our conditioning. Some are definitely, some utilize their anger more effectively as Kshatriyas. Then some are Brahmanas who are regulated in anger. They don't get anger so easily. Even in Brahmanas also there can be variations. So even in Kshatriyas there can be somebody who is more sattvic. All those things, internal differences can be there. But what Krishna says is that whatever your swabhava is, act accordingly. Don't do paradharma, don't do others' dharma. So even after accepting spiritual master, your problems have not been immediately solved. You are admitted in the hospital and you have got a doctor who is giving you medicines. You sincerely take the medicine and the treatment that is ordained for you. So for a Brahmana, there is a different treatment. For a Kshatriya, there is a different treatment. Vaishya, Shudra, there is a different treatment. One should follow his Swadharma. Only when he is following his Swadharma, Manmana Bhav Bhakto becomes practical. Because he is not worried about basic necessities, basic things. He is more worried about I mean, these problems are automatically solved because he is acting according to his nature. He can then focus on spiritual life. So that Sarva Dharman Parityajya means I am leaving others' dharma and I am doing my swadharma because Krishna has already told him that you are sadharma. Then it doesn't make sense to reject his swadharma. So he is telling him that leave others' dharma. Don't worry about the papa karma punya of your dharma that I will take care. You follow my instruction and do your dharma properly. Then gradually you will be purified and come to Manma Bhakta. So what Dhruva Maharaj did is he got association of the Lord. He got a bona fide spiritual master. After getting bona fide spiritual master, he got mantra diksha from him and he did perfection in that mantra. He got Supreme Lord's darshana also, blessings also. But what he went back and did, he followed his own Swadharma, Kshatriya Dharma, because he was still not in that level where he is completely free from material bondage. Even then, there was material bondage existing, and for purification of that material bondage, he had to perform his Kshatriya Dharma. So that is the point we should understand here. So it is not that I have received initiation, I am hearing and I am perfected and I have become pure devotee. No, it may take a lot of lifetimes. So we have to also concentrate on our swadharma and follow it. That's the understanding here.
But Prabhuji, here we read this sloka Vacho Vegam, Manasa Vegam, Krodha Vega, right? And Prabhuji, if Dhruva Maharaj could get under the Vega of
No, no,
Krodha,
that was Narad Muni. That was Narad Muni who had Vacho Vegam controlled. And
yeah.
that is why he was able to make Dhruva his disciple. But Dhruva didn't become spiritual master. He went back as a disciple only and continued the
No,
kingdom.
bro, my point is different. My point is like Dhruva Maharaj who practiced so much of intense devotion and he was even able to take the darshan of the Lord. He is also kind of disqualifying in the first shloka of NOI, like looking from this perspective. Then how can we say that the spiritual masters right now are able to qualify with this thing if like Dhruva Maharaj is able to unable to qualify with that simple first
Mhm.
shloka definition. So that is my confusion.
Yeah, yeah, good question. Yours. Your question is very good actually. See, what Prabhupada said in this context was that even if you don't have the utmost qualification, if you can repeat the message as it is, that is enough. So their vacho vegam is that they are repeating the message of their guru. They are not adding anything from their own side. So it can happen that gurus can be sadhakas. Every guru need not be a pure devotee. Like this Gautama Rishi, the other gurus who gave Brahmadhyana were more superior than Gautama Rishi. But still, Gautam Rishi had the mercy of the parampara. Because Gautam Rishi had the mercy of the parampara, the disciple had to honor such a guru and hear from him. So similarly, we should understand that yes, it can happen that one may not be extraordinary pure devotee like Prabhupada or Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. They have come from the spiritual world. They are extraordinarily superior people. Every generation, it's not that people will be on the same level. But then, if they are repeating the message as it is, then that mercy of the parampara, that blessings of the previous guru and blessings of the parampara will be there. So that is also a very important point we should understand from this.
Okay, bro.
Here, Prithivimcha Shishyat means they are authorized to become Jagat Guru, they are authorized to become Vishwa Guru, they can make disciples all over the world. Whereas you may not be such a great Guru, but if you are repeating the message of your Guru very sincerely, that sincerity is the perfection. That sincerity will make your disciples perfect.
Okay, Broji, but there's one more point, bro. And there we read that guru means someone who's heavy.
Correct.
And since he's heavy, the disciple won't be able to get
Listen.
more deviated towards sense gratification. He would be
Yes.
more focused towards liberation or attaining the love of Godhead. So
Correct.
my point is, Prabhuji, if you look at practically this point, so first of all, the guru should be bona fide. Second point would be, say, disciple has already surrendered into the guru. But the point is, most of the time, the disciple is not directly under the supervision of the guru.
Mm.
Like, there are certain, we can say, hierarchies that is involved. In that case, and we see also, Prabhu, that since the disciple is not directly under the supervision of the guru, so until unless disciple tells his problem to the guru will never know. And sometimes disciple also doesn't realizes that he is actually in trouble, and maybe his supervisors are also not able to supervise him properly in that case. And in that case, there's a good percent of chance that he gets deviated. Then what is the significance of this word heavy, bro?
Mm. So it's a good thing that you have brought up. See, in the time of Ramayana or Mahabharata, when Yudhishthir Maharaj or Lord Ramchandra, let's say Yudhishthir Maharaj of Mahabharata, he was under the guidance of his Guru Dronacharya and he learnt Shastra Vidya, he learnt Adhyatma Vidya, everything he learnt. Once he came back, then they had different situations in life. They went to forest, they were in Ajnatavasa, and they were in different situations. Then later he became the king. In all these things, Yudhishthira Maharaj was very careful to take decisions under the guidance of Brahmanas, under the guidance of elevated souls, because it was not a age of emails where I can send email to Dronacharya and find out what to do next. Okay, so but still the guidance was from other Brahmanas, the sadhus. That is why we have Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra, the three-track train that has to run in our life. So there should be Guru, there should be Sadhu, and there should be Shastras. And the Sadhu includes other Brahmanas who are accessible. Sadhu includes other Vaishnavas. Sadhu also includes the thousands of years of tradition which people are following. The family tradition or the local tradition, the birth tradition. There are so many traditions which people follow. So a lot of things can be known from tradition also. So Guru, Sadhu, Shastra, all three things should be there. So Guru, what we get? We get Guru Shravana. Shravana we get from Guru. That should never be missed. A disciple, whenever there is opportunity, he should hear from Guru. He would try to personally associate also, but everyone may not get that Vapu Seva. But Vani Seva access is for all the disciples. Everyone can hear the spiritual master. So that hearing should be there from spiritual master. Service to the spiritual master or service to the mission of spiritual master, that opportunity is there for everyone. This personal interaction to solve small problems of life may not be there for everyone. Especially in big institutions and big societies, it may not be there. So, yes, there will be situations where we have to consult local sadhus. So now local sadhus, it can happen that local devotees can be right and wrong. Quite obvious. So they could be right, they could be wrong. So that is why it's the individual's responsibility to be solidly grounded in Shastras. He should hear a spiritual master, he should have deep study of Shastras, and based on Shastras, discuss with the seniors. So when we discuss with seniors based on Shastras, we will get a clarity whether the seniors are actually quoting Shastras, actually following the Shastras or no, and where are the Shastras actually the center of our discussion or no. That is when we will get clarity on whether it is the right track or no. So that is why that's why Prabhupada said, read my books, read my books, read my books repeatedly, because that will give a solid grounding of Shastras, and at the same time, when we are interacting with seniors who might not be as perfect or as great as the spiritual master, we will get some idea, are they following Shastras or no? That is where these three track Guru, Sadhu and Shastra is very important for an individual.
Yeah. Okay, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
And Prabhuji,
Sometimes it can happen that people can argue that when such a senior devotee is telling, why you have to read the books again? Does he know more than you? Does he understand Prabhupada more than you? These people can argue. It's not a question of somebody understanding Prabhupada more than you or less than you. It's a question of, are we referring to the words of Acharya or no? You see the purpose of Prabhupada. Has Prabhupada anytime claimed that is our realization? He has always said, Srimad Bhagavatam says this, Srimad Bhagavad Gita says this, Mundakopanishad says this, Brahma Sutra says this, and Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says this, Baldev Vidyabhushan says this. So he has always used quotes, always used references whenever he speaks. At no point of time he claims that no need to search for all these acharyas. I have studied all that. You just follow my realization. That is the symptom of a real bona fide spiritual master. He always refers to Shastras and previous acharyas when he speaks.
okay, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, following this point of, the mercy which you were telling, that initially you told that what is Lord's mercy? Lord mercy are the Shastras which has given it to us. And we have to utilize it by studying them. So like expanding the same point to Guru, can we understand in the same way that Guru's Vani is his actual mercy,
Yes.
and by listening to his mercy we will be able to understand Lord more properly? And like the Narottam Das Thakura song that you were telling, that when we like get attraction, so is it like the same understanding which I am having?
Yes, yes, very important. Somebody may say, Guru, my Guru smiled at me. He showed his mercy, or my Guru gave me prasadam garland. Definitely they are required. Guru's prasadam garland is required. Guru's blessings on the head are required. Guru's pleasure is required. No doubt about that. But then to consider that as a replacement for his Vani, that is something wrong. So his real mercy comes in the form of the Vani, his message that he is giving. And that mercy, if a disciple can take it fully, then his perfection will be there. Then he can understand Radha Krishna. So only when Rupa Devagranatha Pade Hoibe Akuti Abeham Bhojbose Jopal Priti. We can understand only when we get attracted to these books and the teachings and the classes.
Okay.
Prabhupada is so great, even the Vaishnava bhajans that he composed, he gave references from Bhagavatam. Marken Dharma, the other bhajan, he gave Shrunvatam, Sakata, Krishna, he has quoted Bhagavatam there also. So much his approach is Shastra centric. Any other discussions on this? Any other points which I would have missed out, or any other questions you all can contribute? Raja Vinod Prabhu, you have something to say? Roshan Prabhu, please, you can say.
I saw a reference of Srila Jiva Goswami where he says that a Madhyamadhikari can also be accepted as a guru. So that just I wanted to add.
Yes, yes, nice point, Prabhu. Thank you. So it is not practically possible that every time Guru has to be a Uttam Adhikari, because so many Uttam Adhikaris are not available. Madhyama Adhikari can also be accepted. Kanishta Adhikari can also be accepted, but the risk is on the disciple. he has to be careful that the guru can glide you down. So the risk is on the disciple. He should also keep taking direction from Shastras and other authorities. So that is the point. Anybody else can add anything? Dharmeshwar Prabhu, you have something to add? Hare Krishna Prabhu, I'm not able to hear.
Hare Krishna. Guruji. You had mentioned that Yajna Vidhi Samarpana.
Sorry, I had mentioned.
Yajna Vidhi Samarpana. Prabhuji, can you repeat it? Can you elaborate?
Yes,
In what
so
context this has been?
yes. So when you, let's say you want to have a child and you do Putra Kameshti Yajna. So it is not an easy process. First you have to do Sankalpa, and once you do Sankalpa, then you perform the Yajna process. And once you perform the Yajna process, then finally you do Samarpana. I offer this whole thing to the Lord. When you do all these steps perfectly, that is when Krishna, God's mercy also should be there. Then you might have a child. So if you follow the whole Vidhi and finally God's mercy is there, then you will have a child. Now, similarly, perfection of human life, you should hear from a spiritual master, Vidhivat, from the right procedure. You have to hear from the spiritual master, then your purification will happen. So, even when Jabala had heard from people who were superior to spiritual master, still he reheard it from his spiritual master. Only when he followed that ritual of hearing from his spiritual master did he get the complete perfection. Knowledge he had already got, but he followed it ritualistically, hearing from spiritual master. That is when he got that perfection. So that is the idea.
That is only starting.
Yes, Prabhu.
Looks like he was in ecstasy.
Yes. Rajavinath Prabhu, anything else to add from this? Apuradam Prabhu.
Prabhuji, one more point I was having a
Just a
doubt.
minute, Prabhu. Please, just a minute. If Rajavinath Prabhu has something to add.
No, I said fantastic. Thank you very much.
Yes, Prabhu. Okay, Apura Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu, please.
Prabhuji, you were saying that without listening to a spiritual master, we cannot gain perfection. But Prabhuji, here, we follow this thing of listening first to Prabhupada, and sometimes we don't get much time, so we are mostly listening to Srila Prabhupada lectures only. So, would we be deprived of Guru's mercy if we only listen to Srila Prabhupada's lecture and don't get much time to listen to Guru's lecture?
Prabhu, whenever there is an opportunity, it's necessary to take, like we personally visit the spiritual master, or we go for the festivals or Vyas Puja celebrations, or the other times when there is hearing, or even otherwise, at least once in a while, if you can schedule a timetable, at least this hearing of spiritual master has to be done sometime. That is quite necessary. Otherwise, we might not get the full benefit of it. So we should also know what our spiritual master speaks. There are two advantages of it. One advantage is that our faith in spiritual master increases. Okay, that he is actually following the parampara. Now, there is something I'm going to tell you. The history of Krishna conscious movement, the history of Vedic, we have also seen that there are problems on the level of spiritual masters. Now, this is not a new crowd. We are all mature, quite experienced, know intricacies of Krishna conscious movement. So I can tell you these things, that there are also problems that have been seen on the levels of spiritual masters also. Now, by hearing and studying Prabhupada books, these things also will be more clear how much I am on the right track. So, one thing is that our faith will become strong, that my spiritual master is bona fide. At the same time, if there are difficulties though, in somebody's position, those things, you see a lot of these problems in the past, people were extremely devoted to spiritual master. All of the sudden, something happened. Now they are completely against. They take up to some imaginary idea. They say, I will Prabhupada is my guru, or they may say that I will give up Krishna conscious movement, I will give up bhakti, I will go to Gaudiya Math. So many different things have happened. Now, okay, each of these things, I don't want to get into what is right and what is wrong in those things. But why such extremes of Guru Bhakti to Guru completely against of that. Why such extremes are happening? Because somewhere the knowledge backup is not there. So if knowledge backup is there, at the same time we are hearing the spiritual master, then we are prepared for what the situation is. So that is another advantage of trying to hear from the Guru.
Okay, Broji. Basically, you mean to say that we can also understand if our spiritual master is bona fide or not, and in
It's
that way.
completely our responsibility to evaluate the spiritual master. It's completely responsibility of disciple.
But bro, we say before taking initiation, you should evaluate. After initiation, you are surrendered to the spiritual master like that.
Yeah. So Shishyasteham Shadimam Tam Prapannam. Krishna says in second chapter, Arjuna says in second chapter that I am Prapanna, I am a disciple surrendered to you. And still Krishna speaks 16 more chapters, after which Sarva Dharman Parityajya Mamekam Sharanam Braja comes. So there is a between Guru Prapatti and Bhagavad Sharanagati, there is 16 chapters gap. So in that 16 chapters, there Krishna still gave Arjuna an opportunity to question, to ask, and to perfect himself more. So you are surrendered to spiritual master, right? You are surrendered to spiritual master with the condition that, with unconditionally, you say unconditionally, still there is a condition that he has to take you to Krishna. So at least that condition is there, that he has to take you to Krishna. In this thing, if he fails, then Bhishma Devas, if the Guru cannot perfect you, then you can reject such a Guru. That is what Bhishma Deva says in Mahabharata, and that is what is followed by Bali Maharaj. Bali Maharaj was surrendered to Guru, but when the Guru was not competent enough to make him surrender to Krishna, he had to reject that Guru. So yes, the surrender is there, but the surrender should be not sentimental. It should be backed up by Shastras, and it should be towards achieving the perfection of Smrta Vyasatakam Vishnu. That is also you have to be careful about.
Okay, bro.
So, okay then. So we will Mohan Radhapati Prabhu, Guru Bhakta Prabhu. You have something to add?
No, bro.
Yes, Prabhu.
Nothing now, bro.
Yes. So, okay then. So we will end for this week. Next week, there will be some more interesting things on devotional service. Actually, a very complex topic about Mithyatva is coming up. There's what is this Mayavadi theory of Jiva Mithyatva and all this thing. So that is going to be a complex topic. So that discussion is coming up very soon. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Roshan Prabhu, some last words.
Prabhuji, I had just some points to clarify with you. So regarding the previous classes also, I have many questions. So I was just requesting or planning if you could hold a separate session of Q&A if anyone has personal questions, because asking doubt in WhatsApp to you personally, it is not quite like if I am here communicating with you directly cam to cam, so it is more convenient. So I am just asking if will it be okay if you could hold a separate 30-minute sessions where every devotee, if anyone has doubt, can ask regarding the previous sessions.
Okay, so
Because
we can have a short session of discussion where we can work on the doubts, and others are also welcome. You can also come up with your questions on this, and we can discuss. So during this week, I will let you know when it will happen, and others have a choice based on their schedule. You can join and can ask your own questions also. So we will do it during this week.
like we can give a poll on WhatsApp.
Yes, yes. So we will set it. I will tell which are my preferable timings, and in that which are convenient for others, we'll work it out.
And Prabhuji, regarding the sessions that you told, which are not related, very much related to this Vedānta Syamantaka book that you told that the Vedic societies regarding 2 sessions back that we were telling Vedic society versus modernization, Ugra Karma, this all, and the origin of the Jiva that we yesterday told and now also. So when these sessions will be held after the